So welcome to the show, everyone. It's crazy out there, so be careful. Now, if you want to get yourself heard on the show, just give us a call here at the station at 602-277-5369. We'll get you hooked up with me and get you on Networking Arizona. I'm going to go in. I can't wait to bring on my first guest. He's Stephan Brewer, and he is the owner of Legacy Tax and Resolution Services. Oh, I'm so glad to see you that you're healthy now. You're the tax man.
Yeah. There we go.
Perfect. I love that song. And let's talk a little bit about you, what you've been doing, and what's going on, and why you're here today.
Well, the apropos in time is right. I want to discuss just, those people that didn't get their tax returns filed, what options they have. That's kind of what I saw as a good topic for this show.
Okay, yeah, because I guess the deadline was when?
Yesterday.
So if you didn't do it, then guess what? You're late.
That's right.
And not only are you late, you don't have any chance. And then what happens? You get a fine?
Well, everything is based on if they have a liability or not. So penalties are always based on failure to file penalty, failure to pay penalty, are based on a liability. So technically, if they don't owe anything, there's no penalty. I wouldn't suggest not paying or not filing because of that reason, because there's consequences for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be careful out there. And there's a lot of people who we put our heads in the sands, we don't want to deal with it, and we think that we can get away because they don't always come knocking on your door right away, but they do come a knocking.
They do eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I want to get this out right away because you told me that you wrote a book and you kind of revised it now.
Actually, I wrote a book a long time ago, and then I've revised it recently, so it's kind of like a republishing, if you will.
Okay. The book is called The Legacy Tax Reduction System, Things That My CPA Either Doesn't Know or Forgot to Tell Me About. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up the lines to the audience. You can call in. You can either ask questions or not. That's completely up to you, but everyone who's calling in is going to get one of these books, okay? Is that okay?
That's absolutely
okay. Great. So good. So we're going to give you a copy of the book. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, since what, 89 or something like that?
Since
It's a while.
1989
Yeah.
is a long time that you've been doing this. You have a lot of experience, and you've been on the show. Before you were on a while back, but you've come back, and you've helped a lot of people out there. So if somebody cannot pay their tax bill due in full, okay, what are their options?
Well, they can set up what's called an installment agreement. And it depends on the size of the debt will determine how easy it is to set up that installment agreement. So if it's under $10,000 and they can pay off the debt in 3 years, they get an automatic approved installment agreement. If their debt is under $50,000 and they can pay it off in less than 72 months, 6 years, then it's not an automatic approval, but near automatic approval. So as long as you can pay it off, you can just basically divide your debt by 6 years.
Do you do consultations with your clients?
Absolutely.
Okay, because you have to.
Yeah.
All right, because they got to figure out whether they can or cannot pay it, or do they really know?
Yeah, well, they need to know what their options are, really, is what they are. I mean, a lot of people don't, even people that don't file, they don't file because they don't understand their options. A lot of people don't file because they fear, I'm going to owe. And a lot of people don't.
Right.
But they fear, I'm going to owe, so I'm not going to file. That's a mistake.
You know what? There's a lot of people who think that way. I know for me, myself, I worry. I don't know whether it's going to happen or not, when it's going to happen. You know, so the best thing to do is to also talk to somebody who has a lot of experience. He's been doing it since 1989. You can call his office direct at 480-907-6644. Also, you have your toll-free number. Can you help anyone from anywhere?
And we do, nationwide.
Okay, so the number toll-free is 800-829-7483. Again, the number to call him direct, it's 480-907-6644. And you can check him out on his website, which is Legacy Tax and Resolution Services.com. And our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. Get a copy of his book and learn what you should know and what they should have forgot to tell you. How's that?
Yeah.
How's that way I put that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the IRS penalty for filing late?
So if you do have a balance due, it's 0.5% of the outstanding balance per month, up to a maximum of 25%.
Okay, so that could be a lot of money.
It could be, and it rolls quickly. So plus, that's the penalty alone. That's not the interest on the debt. It's just the penalty for failure to file.
So you get penalty to failure to file.
That's correct.
What else?
There's actually two penalties. There's a failure to file penalty and a failure to pay penalty. And the failure to file penalty is actually a bit steeper than the failure to pay. So I tell people, at least file. You have options for payment.
He can help anyone from anywhere. So the toll-free number is 800-829-7483. And the phone number direct is 480-907-6644. And Colin here, he's here live. He can answer questions if you want. We'll let them ask a question.
Absolutely.
And again, our number here is 602-277-5369. And toll-free, it's 1-866-536-1100. And everyone who's going to call in is going to get a copy of his book, The Legacy Tax Reduction System, Things that the CPA either doesn't know or forgot to tell you about. And they're important. So our number here is 602-277-5369. So, okay, if someone doesn't file at all, what can happen?
Well, eventually what will happen is that the IRS will send you a series of notices saying, hey, they're really benign at the beginning. It's like, oh, we notice that you haven't filed. They get a little more stern as they go along, and eventually what will happen if you don't file long enough, the IRS will file a return for you. It's called a substitute for return. And essentially what they do is they take the information off your transcript, all the income, they give you very little deductions. They treat you as a single individual, regardless if you're married. They only give you one exemption, no matter how many dependents you have, and they assess the tax, and then they will begin to collect it.
Most of the time, you've been doing this a long time.
Mm-hmm.
For the people that are not filing, okay, are they usually business owners that are the ones that are thinking, obviously, that they owe money and what? Who's the client that's not?
I would say more of them, are business owners because they probably think that they have more of a debt. It's surprising how many people actually they're afraid of it, but a lot of them don't end up owing.
Right, and you won't know until you find out. You do a consultation with everyone.
Absolutely.
And again, you can call them direct. That number it's 480-907-6644, and toll free it's 800-829-7483. How come you can help people from anywhere?
We're
licensed.
Well, first of all, we're licensed nationwide, so we can do it all states. There's not a state return that we don't do.
Okay, and again, you don't want the tax company, the tax man, not him, he's the tax man, but if you don't want the IRS filing for you, because you're not going to get, what you deserve. Does anybody ever get money back if they do it?
Those returns, the substitute for returns, are highly inflated.
What does that mean?
Highly inflated meaning they're taking all your income, giving you very little deductions.
They're mad at you anyway.
Yeah, and they're just assessing that tax. And they're doing it for the purpose of collection, because unless the IRS assesses a tax, they cannot collect the tax. So it's simply for the purpose of getting your attention, really.
Right. Well, of course, if you know what, when you're getting a letter in the mail from the IRS, you got their attention.
Yeah.
But usually, no matter what, they will put it aside and not pay.
Oh, I can't tell you.
Or they think they can do it themselves.
I can't tell you over the years how many times a client has come to me with a stack of unopened certified letters. And you just know that they're pretty deep into it.
Right. And it's really sad. And there's a lot of people out there, people that just for some reason put their head in the sands. They don't want to deal with it. Our lines are open here. We're going to let you call in. You can ask a question if you want. Also, you're going to get the book, his book. This The Legacy Tax Reduction System. It's things that my CPA either doesn't know or forgot to tell you about. The number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. I think that everybody should have the book anyway because, there's a lot of things you might find out that you were supposed to get that you didn't know about.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And again, and Stefan has been doing this since 1989, so he has a ton of experience behind him. We're going to go to a break. When we come back further, we're going to talk a little bit further of how you can help people. Again, you can call us here, get the book, even ask a question if you want. Again, everyone's going to get it at 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. And call them direct, it's 480-907-6644. It's Legacy Tax and Resolution Services.com. My favorite song.
I like
it just is. Now, tax, nobody really wants to talk about taxes. They really don't want to talk about taxes, even though we like the song. But a lot of people, they put their head in the sand. We've talked a lot about this. Yesterday was the deadline, so it's too late almost if you didn't do it. But you want to take care of it. You don't want to put your head in the sand. We're talking with Stefan Brewer, and did I say it right?
Brewer, yes.
And he's the owner of Legacy Tax Resolution Services. And you know, you wrote this book, and when we were at the break, you said, you know, Carol, I was asking a little bit about it. You go, it's 300 pages long. I said, wow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it. Let's talk a little bit about the book.
It's everything from tips about things that you need to be aware of, substantiation, when I say substantiation, things that you need to document perfectly to be able to avoid an audit or survive an audit. So some things have to be documented very well. Mileage, for example, actual expenses for a vehicle, travel costs.
There's a lot of things, and if it's 300 pages, you have covered everything.
And it probably, I would say, a quarter of the book is just documentation, how to keep good records, so you don't have to fear an audit. If you're not fearing an audit, you're not afraid to take deductions.
So anyone really should have this book. It sounds like it's good for everyone. Okay, just because you're late doesn't mean that you're the one that qualifies.
Yeah.
This is for anyone. And again, our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. The book is called The Legacy Tax Reduction System. It's things my CPA either doesn't know or forgot to tell you about. So again, 602-277-5369. You do free consultations with everybody.
Absolutely.
Okay, you can work. You can help people from anywhere. And so what if someone's e-file form was rejected?
Well, you have a certain amount of time to correct the problem. We had a case today where one of the dependents probably filed and took their own exemption. I can't fix that problem other than to take that dependent off the return. But I can file a paper return. So IRS allows a certain amount of time, and this year on the 2014 return, you have up until the 20th of October at midnight to file a paper return to replace your original return. Now you have proof that you filed the original return because it was rejected. So it's not you're late. You just have that much time to correct the problem.
Well, if they rejected it, would they find out pretty fast?
Yeah, we would find out within a day. We know, and we contacted the taxpayer, and they said, "Yeah, that's possible. We could have, somebody could have filed." Somebody takes the exemption, another parent takes the exemption, or the child goes into H&R Block and they just go and file it as a normal person, not a dependent of someone else, and then we file it properly, and it gets rejected because that Social Security number's already been used.
See, so there's a lot of things that you don't know about. You need to call him. His number direct, it's 480-907-6644, and it's toll free 800-829-7483. Again, that website is LegacyTaxResolutionServices.com. Okay, so a lot of people try and do these things themselves. Okay, they're either putting their head in the sand or they try.
Yeah, we call that the ostrich method.
Yeah, I guess I must be an. No, but really, a lot of people do try and do these things themselves. What do you feel about that?
I think some things some people can do. For example, if someone owes under $50,000 of debt, they can handle their own installment agreement. They don't need a firm like us. They really don't. Or even more so, under $10,000, and they can pay it within 3 years. Piece of cake. It's an automatic approval. Now, automatic approval if they are in compliance, which means all returns filed.
Yeah. So if you haven't filed, you know that you probably are consistent with that.
Yeah. So that means you're out of compliance, which means things like installment agreements are a lot more difficult.
Although I do not feel, we have talked about this before. I love when you say this too. And I think you say it on your ad. The IRS can be brutal.
They're the most brutal collection agency on the planet. They have a lot of power.
They do. And so that's why it shouldn't be that just anybody talks to them.
And they have power because people don't understand their options. They don't understand the rules. They don't understand how the IRS is supposed to play. They don't understand the IRS manual.
Okay. And there are different things that you can and cannot do. And if you don't know, how you may be able to turn around and not have to pay such a fine, correct?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Exactly. I mean, there's options available to you. There's reductions and penalties available to you. It's about knowing your options, about knowing the rules.
Right. Know your rules. I like that.
When you know and you have that education, you don't have that fear.
So again, we have our lines open here, and everyone who's calling in is getting his book. It's 300 pages long, so it has a lot of different do's and don'ts, things what to know. Also, I like the way that you say that you have things in there that can help them with just getting to know how not to have an audit, and which means to me like you have systems in place for that.
Exactly, and it's all about having that comfort level that you know your documentation is proper, and if you had to go into an audit, you would be okay. And when you have that comfort level, you're not afraid to take deductions.
Again, he's been doing this since 1989, and our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. Okay, so we have some time here. In terms of being late now, let's say they just really forgot, okay? Can they still have you do that for them and still maybe get a reduction on their penalty, or would it matter anyway?
Well, the sooner they file, because it's from the, so let's say they filed an extension in April, their due date came October 15th, so they're now technically late. So from any point on, they're late and they're going to incur the failure to file penalty.
Right.
So the faster they file that return, the better.
Now, we have our lines open here. I don't know if this person wants to ask a question or not. We will let you call in and ask the question. If not, you're going to get the book no matter what. And again, our number here is 602-277-5369. And toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. We'll see if she wants to ask, or if they want to ask a question or not.
Sure.
But, okay, so what is when somebody, at this point in the game, number one question that you get asked?
Number one question. Number one question's about deductions.
I would think that the number one question to you would be asked, especially if they haven't filed in a long time. Okay, and there's a lot of people that if they haven't filed now, you're going back 3 years more, right?
Yeah, it's always about what's my consequence. What's going
to happen to me?
What did I do to myself?
Right.
Here?
What am I going to do? What's going to happen to me? Am I going to lose my furniture? What can they take from me? Right. What are those answers?
Well, there's limitations on what the IRS can do, and obviously the furniture is not the first thing they want. They want you to get back.
They want their money.
They want you to get in compliance. They want you to make an effort to pay the debt. That's really what they're after. They want to get you to move forward and start taking care of the problem. And if you do that, especially if you do it voluntarily, they're going to be a lot less willing, and they're going to be a lot more willing to work with you, a lot less harsh with you if you're trying to solve the problem.
And I don't think you should do it on your own. I really don't. I don't think anybody should. Because you know what? We talk too much.
Yeah, and we definitely do. Even on my website, a lot of it is to say, even in my YouTube videos, a lot of it is about, okay, you can try this on your own, you can do this on your own, but here's something you don't. Offering compromise. Probably not something you want to try on your own. I have a $80,000 debt. It's well in excess of the $50,000. It gets a lot more complicated. Probably not something you want to try on your own.
Let's talk about your website for a minute. You have a lot of information there. So the website is Legacy Tax Resolution Services, that's with an S.com. And so what's on there? It sounds like it's very informational.
It's broken apart. The things that we do very well is profit maximization, meaning helping clients to show them ways to make more money out of their own business. Tax resolution and tax preparation and planning. So the website's broken apart in that same direction.
Okay, and again, write it down. It's Legacy Tax Resolution Services.com, and our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. Get his book. It's the Legacy Tax Reduction System, things that your CPA either doesn't know or forgot to tell you about. Okay, we were talking, again, it's very extensive. What are some of your final words for today?
In regards to resolution, just understand your options. Don't stick your head in the sand. It's only going to get worse.
It is only going to get worse, and I have to tell you something. I know a lot of people out there who really are quite afraid of what they're going to have to owe, and they've gone, or they couldn't pay. There's a lot of people out there that got really hurt in the last few years, and they think that people think that they're all better now, but they're not.
Yeah, and or something happened, medical situation, something caused you not to file, and then you start going, they're not really paying attention.
Right.
And you think you're getting away with something. You're really not.
And so you can call him direct. His phone number is 480-907-6644, or toll free, because he can help anyone from anywhere, at 800-829-7483. I'm going to let you call throughout the rest of the show to get this book. We want everybody to have it. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. Final words.
Again, just understand your options in regards to anything. Tax planning, tax preparation, understand the options. Understand the rules, and you feel a lot more comfortable.
Check him out on his website. It is LegacyTaxResolutionServices.com, and call in here for the book at 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. We'll be back in just a minute.